This is a US spec Honda Civic Sport Touring Hybrid, and I've installed the 4-light footwell kit that I purchased from the seller in Japan. This is the model of the kit that I purchased, and this is with white lights. This kit has an LED in the footwell on both sides, in the front, and then an LED that's under the seat on either side. Installing it's a little bit of a challenge. Getting the wiring harnesses clipped into the right places is pretty difficult, especially considering the instructions are for right-hand drive vehicles, and of course this US spec is a left-hand drive vehicle. There are a couple of differences, a couple of clips that don't exist on this US spec car, but otherwise it's pretty much the same installation instruction. First, you have to remove the panel that has the buttons in it, and then you have to tap into where the connector is for the traction control. Power is pulled off of this, and then there's another connector that is back here that taps in, and that also provides power to the system. So when you put in the harness, you're adding a couple of fuses. Here's the fuse case that's zip tied to one of the wiring bundles back there. And then because you're plugging into the existing connector here, the harness gives you a new connector for whatever you might need to plug in if you have other circuits that are connected. So this wiring harness basically goes down the kick plate to the sill, and then under the carpet up to the bottom of the seat, and I'll show on the other side what that looks like. I'm almost ready to put this back together. The wiring harness then comes over, and it's zip tied to different harnesses that are already here. It comes over, and then it's connected surprisingly to the steering cage right here, and that's actually in the instructions. There's enough slack in this wire so that you can still tilt the steering wheel. And then I took out part of this air duct just to get a better access, but this will go back on like that. It'll screw in, and there's a plastic clip that goes over here, but this wiring harness comes over and it goes in front of the heater to reach the other side of the car. And this is where the instructions differ a little bit from what is in this vehicle. In the instructions claim there's a little bracket here, and I just couldn't find it, so I made it work. Here, if we can look better, you can see where that black hose or black wire goes across. And the important thing here is that it doesn't interfere with the airbag, it doesn't interfere with any of the pedals, and it doesn't interfere with the tilting steering wheel. Okay, so let's move to the other side. Here we are on the passenger side, and we'll take a look at the wiring harness a little bit more carefully. But another challenge here is that in this diagram, they suggest that a clip exists here, but again, it doesn't. And this is probably the only other difference that I could find between these instructions and this vehicle. Now, if you wanted, you could put a clip. If you have the right kind of clip, you could put a clip up here on this, but I think that that would mean that the wire is too much in the way. So what I did is I actually put some black electrical tape pulling the wire up, and it goes above this. This is where the panel will go, and that wire is up out of the way. but that wire comes across and it connects. So this connector is coming from the driver's side, and then this female part is going across to the different lights. And here's the connector for the light that will go into this passenger side. But you can see I've used some of the supplied zip ties to hold this wire in position. And that wiring harness comes and it follows with an existing wiring harness that is much larger, but you can see it's zip tied to it there, and it comes down, and again it goes inside the carpet. You can pull the carpet back a little bit, and the wire comes across, and then it goes over. You can sort of see it peeking through the carpet right there, and then it comes out the back, and it's zip tied with the cable harness. Comes around, up and over, and it goes to the light that's here. Okay, so this seat is ready to be put back into position. Torque it down, I think it's 32 foot-pounds with a T50 bit, and we're ready to start reassembling the car. A couple of things I want to mention. The instructions correctly tell you to move the seats and remove the screws from the seats before you disconnect the battery. And of course you need the battery to move the seats, and you want the battery disconnected if you're disconnecting the airbag, which we did on the driver's side. So the battery is presently disconnected, but I'll plug the airbag back in before I reconnect the battery so I can move the seats forwards and backwards to get to the bolts. It's impossible to get to the bolts, to get to all the bolts without moving the seat forward and backwards. This kit includes 2 new airbag bolts. You can see on the left are the new ones, and on the right are the old ones. We'll use those to put in these holes and reinstall the airbag. Torque spec on the mounting bolts for the airbag is something like 14 Newton meters, which is not very tight. Here we go, it's all put back together. The lights are very subtle, it's tasteful. You can see here, and then under the driver's seat here. And then the passenger side. That's it. I have to reset the TPMS and some other things since I disconnected the battery, but we're almost done. That's it. Thank you for watching.